Welcome back to Tactics Talk with Guido. Thanks for tuning in. I do appreciate your support as always. I have another replay here from Hybrid Sniper from Clan 666. He's in his LTTB Tier 8 Russian light tank. Great little tank. I do pretty well in this tank. It's one of my favorite tanks in the game. Very fast, very maneuverable, terrible gun depression, and a pretty punchy gun for a scout. When Hybrid sent me this message, he said, hey, this is a good example of when things are going badly for you. Just stay alive, stay in the game, good things will happen. Just grind it out. And that's true. But I also chose it for another reason, because it illustrates the difficulty of running a scout on the channelized maps that we have. The alleyway maps, the maps with 3 funnels, funnel maps, all the things that we call them. This map in particular is Fjords. It's Fjords. There are 3 funnels on this thing right in the middle, up towards the north and the little south corner. A scout really has no business down here in this south corner down here. They can do some work up in the north, but where they make their bread and butter early on is probably somewhere around the middle right here. And the eastern spawn is even worse off than the western spawn. At least the western spawn can kind of get up into this field in a couple places. Eastern spawn, the best they can do is kind of at the beginning of the funnel right here. So let's see what happens as Hybrid takes his LTTB into battle on Fjords. I said Fjords. Now he's going to go to one of the bushes that I like quite a bit at the very beginning. And like I said, this is about as far as you can get with a scout on Fjords. I'm going to say that every time. This bush is usable, but you've got to get there quickly, and you're going to see something that happens right here pretty quickly that's going to make it a little bit dangerous to get into that bush. The other problem with that bush is you're sort of trapped. I'll show you what I mean here. He doesn't run binoculars, and one of the reasons I run binoculars is because I'll get into this spot here and stop. I'll let him cook off, and I'm going to get a little bit more vision out of that. It's going to burn through a little bit more, and I might see guys a little bit sooner. So he's just kind of moving, but he's running food. Don't know if he has optics. I assume he does. Now here comes this guy. Now Hybrid's going to have a couple issues along this way. I just want to note this. I notice his turret's going to do that twitch thing, kind of like he's got a nervous tick. That's been happening to me for about the last couple weeks, maybe a month or so, every now and again on this server. So I don't know if it's a server issue they're having or what, but based on what he does a couple times, it looks like he's running a little bit of lag here. So we'll take that into consideration as we talk. But he takes the shot on the WZ-132. Let's talk real quickly about scouts and why they're difficult to use. Not just the funnel map thing, because it gives them few places to go. Number one, you have to be extremely careful about how you trade in a light tank, because they just don't have the hit points to give. You're not going to get saved by saved by armor. You might get saved by Artie. You're not going to get saved by armor unless it's extremely lucky, even more so than a medium. So trading, you're not going to get saved by your armor, and manufacturing shots. Amongst all of the different classes in this game, this is the kind of tank where you really have to look for shots. You have got to manufacture your own shots. You've got to use your mobility. You've got to use your stealth and put those two together and get shots downrange. All right, so he takes that shot. That's fine. I would have done the same thing. That WZ is getting aggressive and moving up to that corner, which is actually good for Hybrid's team because it is susceptible to Artie if he comes around that corner, and the TDs back on his sniper hill back there can also get shots. Now let's take a look at the deployment, and holy cow, this does not look fantastic. He's got a couple heavies headed towards the corner, maybe. Not sure what the IS is doing. The Indian Panzer in the middle, and a whole bunch of guys going up on the north, and a couple TDs on the sniper hill. This is like moths to flame down here, or moths to a light. TDs love this hill. I despise this hill. You are essentially taking your tank out of about a third to half of the game. All right, but this is about Hybrid and his LTTB. So let's see what happens here. He got lit, and he comes around that corner. I think he might have been looking for a shot, but he was lit. So he had to assume once he fired he was lit, and it looks like he might have been committed to go around the corner before the sixth sense went off. But in any event, they're Hybrid. You can't expose yourself again that quickly. You know that WZ saw you, or you had to assume he did based on how close you were when you fired. I would have just tucked up under that rock and let my light go away. Or if I didn't get my bulb, then I might have poked out. So this is good. He's going to wait till it goes dark here and then immediately kind of poke out. Let's see what happens here. Okay, sees that guy, shoots, and takes another hit. So a couple bad trades right there. I mean, I know that the technique of letting him go dark, popping out, shooting, and trying to get back was good, but you know he was probably just sitting there zoomed in. So what I might have done is gone out, lit him up, and come back. See if the arty can take a chunk out of him. See if maybe those TDs back there have a sliver of a shot. And make him think. And then when you go back behind the rock, another thing you can watch for is, hey, does he shoot through that bush? Kind of look like that and go. Just take a quick peek. See if a shot goes through and hits that wall or the ground right there and go, okay, he's kind of paying attention there. These are the things you've got to do with a scout. You've got to be a little bit more wily with a scout. Look to create your shots. Okay, so you hang out on this rock, hiding from arty and whatever else can hit you. Take a quick peek here. That's not a bad idea. Sit there for a minute. Looks like maybe a little hesitation, and now we're going to head out. And we take another hit. So there is an FCM back there somewhere behind a bush who was able to see you. I assume he's in the middle right there or so. You got lit by something, maybe the WZ, maybe another tank in those bushes, but in any event, that is an open spot right there. So if you do try to bail out of this rock and come this way like you did, you can get hit in the back of the head like you did. So now we've traded 2/3 of our hit points for one shot. And we're repositioning to the back. And at first I saw you, all right, so we're repositioning. We're going to head up to the top here and help these guys. Looks like they're in a fight up here. Come up, and then we're going to turn around. All right, so let's talk about positioning again. I liked the initial position. When you started going this way, I said, well, not my favorite decision, but maybe you could get up there and get some help for these guys. This is not a great tank for up there. The depression is terrible, and there's some really crazy angles and bumps around over here that you have to fight around. With the WZ 111 and what's going on up there, probably not your best bet. I would have stayed here, worked that rock, see if you can't entice your heavies to come up and help find these guys and start shooting them. And back to the rock you're behind. After you came out behind the bush the first time and traded the shot, I'd have waited quite a long time, and then I'd have come back out into that bush and taken a look and see what's stacked up there. See if you can't see anything moving around out in that field. It may very well be that you push you and you have to bail out of that rock, but at least you'd have had the position and the spotting capability for a while. Now we're getting a little bit, knocking trees down like crazy, lumberjacking it. Getting a little LJ out of it. We come right back up and like, holy cow, there they are again. Lit. And I'm just, oh no, ouch. Now that could have ended your game right there. That's a great big old TD. You had to know you were lit by the Leo. I would have just tucked up under the rock. Be careful, that's a little early. You might have just sniped a portion of you there. You're not really going to get any shots off those guys unless they push around the corner. You can tell by the mini-map. I like this decision. Just kind of find out what's going on. Now, you're going to come out there and take a shot. If you're going to do that, I'd have gone after the Leo. At least I know I can damage him. Totally had a shot on the Leo. And there's the WZ. You had a shot on him. Alright, so manufacturing shots. Come out, hit the Leo, go forward. I'm going to show you something here. I think you go forward just enough. Look at that. The WZ is not even looking at you. And this is something you're not doing, is investigating shots. Investigating lit guys and go like that and say, ooh, turret's not looking at me. I can actually pop out here and hit him once. What you choose to do is just run. There goes that nervous tick with your turret. The other thing about sitting against that rock right there and taking these guys on is those two clowns up there will notice that, hopefully, and should start putting shots into these guys. We run away, the Leo gets a piece of us. Stirves are blasting away at those guys. Alright, so reposition's also not a bad idea, but I wouldn't have gone this far. One of the things about a scout is when you reposition is fall back and then find a place where you can be useful again. This bush you just passed on the corner of this rock is fantastic for lighting guys who move around too much up here and come around behind the rocks and things. And you could sit right there and light for these two goobers and see if you can't start whittling down these three. This is a problem. So the center is essentially gone. The center is not holding. And I thought, well, maybe he's going to go back up to the north there and help those guys. And then, nope, no, we're turning around. And we're headed back up to the hill, to the sniper hill. All right, this is not a terrible decision. It's not my favorite either, though. This is not a very useful spot for a scout. In fact, those stirrs have about as much vision as you do without binoculars. If you've got optics, then you're pretty close, but they may be running binocs and optics as well. You spend some time looking a lot over there. You're just not going to get a shot through those rocks. Make sure you're learning on the mini-map what stuff you can actually see and what you can't. And what's interesting, I'm going to be a little bit negative here. What's interesting is you will spend a lot of time looking through things like buildings and rocks, but when guys are obviously able to be lit up by you or seen, you don't investigate it. I'll give you a couple examples as we go right here. There's one coming up real quick. You're just sort of sitting here. I don't think you're really in that bush either. Your right side's a little exposed there. Yeah, that IS is getting pummeled. So their scout died in the middle. That WZ's there, but the FCM moved around the other side of the rock, and the Leo's down in the town, so there's actually not that much up there except for that WZ. Now, he will punch a hole right through you. That Tiger, I don't know if that Sturb has a shot, but the other thing about manufacturing shots is you got to go look for him. See if that Indian Panzer's light will know he's below that building. If you just backed up and changed the angle, you actually might have had a shot through to that Tiger. So we spend a lot of time there. We're not manufacturing shots. We're not lighting enemies. We're not helping the team. All right, this one right here. So this FCM just went by. You know, I'm going to back it up because I need you to see this. Keep going right here. And this is a fleeting shot, but it's just something that you've got to learn to do in a scout. It's important in any tank, but a scout especially when you've got to manufacture shots and you can be all over the map. A lot of your shots are going to be weird, kind of fleeting shots, but look at this. As soon as I make it happen here. Where'd he go? He's behind something. There he is. That FCM just blitzed across the middle of the map. Completely out of shot. Now you may miss it, or you may stop and zoom in and he might get by you, but you don't even react. Here's another example. That thing went by. He was also hittable. I won't stop it this time. But the WZ you could have shot. And you back up. Get lit by the WZ. This is wise. Yeah, get hidden. You don't want the WZ tank, not the WZ TD, shooting you in the face right there. Yeah, this bush is a good idea. Just get in here and light this guy up. You're gonna have to rely on the TDs. You've got a huge issue. You've got a big stack of guys in the middle. Your team's starting to lose. You got a guy coming down from the top right there. He may even have a T20 with him. So you just need to be kind of patient for a moment. You're forward of your TDs. Get the lights for them and see if you can't whittle down a tank or two. I like that you withhold the shot for a moment. You might be able to go through his lower plate. You definitely can go through his side. There you go. So you took a shot, and that was good. They hammered him as well. And look, he's just raging forward. He's not really paying attention to you. I want you to watch something. I'm going to take control of the camera. You back up. He sort of looks at you. You're lit, and now his turret goes forward. I would have been driving right back up that hill and see if I can't get one more shot into his side. He drives into the corner, and the good news is the TDs take care of it. So now it's time to change position. You got to get out of there. They know where you are. One of the important things about a scout is to be where they don't expect it. And you've got to use your mobility to do that. T-10's in there fighting. A couple guys in the middle. You might be able to go up the middle. Looks like the T-20 has been last spotted again. He's moved off from that north part and he's come down low. Leo gets hit. T-10's done. He's getting gang tackled over there. And now there's just 3 of you. And they've got an arty, so this is not looking great. So instead of being so indecisive sitting there kind of watching everyone die, I would have already been headed up this hill. or up to the middle. The middle's a little more dangerous because the T-20 could have been hanging out there. So what we've decided is we're going to go ahead and try to spot for these guys. Now, a couple things. Number one, this will set up a crossfire if they try to blitz in here and take on your two TDs, which is not bad. It is doing nothing for you on maybe the T-21 or the Indian or something else fast, eventually coming up and over and finding you here. That's always a danger, this spot with multiple enemy tanks left, and some you don't know where they are. And number two, your field of vision is this and like this corner. I guess you can sort of see a little bit up here, but that's it. So you're a scout, and you've completely limited your ability to scout. We'll see what happens. Looks like Artie just thumped the stirb, so whether it guessed or somehow he was lit. So here comes the FCM. Yeah, that's the ground. We're not going to be able to shoot through that. Like I said, I think some of this is down to potentially lag. And now we're off. So this is another interesting situation. Alright, so he's lit now. You're not looking back this way. And let's see what happens here. Right there. You actually have a shot on this guy. So if you turn your turret, even as you're driving up the hill, and sort of just sweep this around, sweep the cursor around, you may actually get a light on this guy and find him. And as I've said before, it's not necessarily the fact that you didn't get a shot or that it was a fleeting shot. It's that it doesn't register. It's not even in your cross check. Manufacture shots. You have to look for shots with a scout. They're not going to come to you. And they're never going to be easy. You're not going to be able to brawl and just accept that, hey, I can get into a corner and play smashy face and I'm going to get some of my shots. You just can't do that with a scout. You got to move around the map, use your mobility, use your stealth, find weird angles, go where the enemy doesn't think you are, and manufacture your own shots. And this is good. Let's get rid of this artillery. I like that. I'm going to auto-aim this guy, which is fine at this range. I'm going to get a shot in there. Now they know where you are, so now we've got to change it once again. I might have actually got killed on this because immediately I thought, hey, go back up, just turn left right there and go back up that hill. But what's interesting is who you find coming after you. You know someone's going to come after you. It's very possible you'd have got caught out in that flat, or maybe not. There is a little hill right there. Nice job evading that dude and getting out of there. There's no reason to try to fight him. You have no support. The TDs can't get to him, or in this case, the TD, since one just died. And we'll keep on trucking. Now the WZ has lit himself up, and he gets munched by the other stir. Holy cow, what's this? Are we making a comeback? And now we're coming right up the middle. Now, I don't know if I would have gone up the middle on this one. Why? Because the Indian may have just turned around and come back to cut you off. If you jumped on Cap, he has enough speed to turn back around and come. I don't know where. We'll find out where he went. The Leo is maybe over here. Maybe if you just come around this backside, come around this corner, you might actually be able to sneak in behind one of these guys. Even get some lights on him maybe down in here and help your stirb out. The middle is a little more problematic because there might be someone up here shooting down on you. There could be someone around this corner will shoot you. Could be up here shooting you, or just in these buildings. It's just the middle is every direction possible. One of the more open areas on this map as far as angles to be shot is right here. Not necessarily open due to terrain and rocks and buildings, but there's a lot of little angles right through here. So we're just going to blitz right up the middle, which is fine if no one's there, but had someone been there, that would have been not good. Sturb has finally moved out. He's about 100%, I believe. Camera work's important with this scout. I haven't mentioned it yet, but you tend to look directly forward, concentrating on driving. And that has to do with the manufacturing shots and the missing of abilities right there. Now, I just stopped right there. I'm not going to back it up, but I think if you'd have slammed the brakes on there, you might have found you had a shot right over that little lower area on him. Been able to take a shot. Right there is probably a shot. Here he comes. Just wait for it. That's, yeah, I think that's a lag problem. You just miss it for some reason right there. Auto aim, I think, is your friend right here, based on whatever's going on with your micro stutter lag or whatever it is right there. So we end up winning. We get 1,100 damage. We do 1,200 spotting, a couple kills, helping out the Sturv in game to clean this thing up. But there was a lot of steps before that where I think you probably could have had another 800,000 damage before you got to this point, and you might not even got that far behind once you start doing the math on hit point reduction and all that kind of thing. All right, man. So some things to think about. First of all, for everybody out there, stay in the game. Even if you're not doing very well, even if you're having a bad game, don't give up. Keep plugging away. Grind it out. You may end up with good things happening at the end. But along the way, especially with scouts, make sure that you are trading well. You're being wily. You're going where they don't think you are. You're manufacturing your shots and moving on. All right, guys. Hope you like what you saw. Hope you learned something as well. If you did, make sure you subscribe, and we will see you.